We're just gonna play all the music. Hi, party people! Happy Saturday! It's Lord Shiombola here with Black Genius. I'm just gonna rock in. This is my girl Wimby music. Hey, Afrobeat Queen. You get a little bit of Wimby every time, every Saturday. How's everybody feeling today? Who's watching? Let me know how you're doing, where you're watching from. Okay, Christian, I see you here. How do I add you to the? You got a request to join, I think. We're experimenting with the IG and the Facebook today. All right, here we go. We're alive on all the things. Are you here, Christian? Okay, it's waiting for you. There we go. So I have you on IG. I'm gonna pull you onto the Facebook Live very soon too. So Black Genius, you know that this is the only platform where you get to connect deeply with the Black intelligentsia, those pushing the world forward from a deep sense of purpose, people doing incredible things in all corners of the globe and coming from a place of passion, compassion, Black glory, Black genius, just kind of creating the new world, creating a whole new paradigm. So today I have with me Christian Epps. He's been chief lighting designer on so many projects. What they call a gaffer in Hollywood, but he's also founder and CEO of Lights Camera Diaspora, a Los Angeles-based social enterprise bridging the gap between the African and African-Diaspora entertainment industries. When I met Christian on the Black is King conversation, I was just so blown away by the work that he's doing on the continent and to really intimately connect the diaspora and the continent. So I couldn't wait to dig into his story and share more of it with you guys. So let me bring on Christian. Let's do a drum roll. I'm gonna play some music a little
bit. Drum roll, please.
There we go. Okay. No. Can I play some drums for you? Let me play a little bit louder. This is Illegal Alien by Wunmi Olaya. I need to play drums next time. This is not drumming. Hard, but you get the picture. Have to see here today. So, Christian, how you feeling?
I feel good.
I'm really grateful that you agreed for this time because it's what 7 a.m. for you in Cali.
Yes, 7 a.m. in LA. Yep.
Wow, yep. And you're always up this early though. This is nothing for you.
Always. I woke up at 3. Yeah, I woke up at 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, which is normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just had a pretty intense week. So Hollywood has kind of picked back up. Everybody thought that there was no production happening.
Right. No, it is on fire. In fact, it's hard to find people to work right now. I think everybody's trying. I think all the content creators are trying to squeeze it in while the gates are open. Even though we're still under lockdown. Well, we're still under lockdown, but people are lightening up and getting out a little bit. And I think the momentum and the hunger, need for content in my business, but just in general, people need to work and need to do whatever it is they do to sustain themselves. So once the door opened a little bit, it seems like all these productions have rushed through the door.
Wow. And so what kind of stuff are you working on right now?
Right now, this week I did a Taraji Henson for Congressional Black Caucus. They did an awards show, quote unquote, wraparounds on the air, on a broadcast now because of COVID. I just wrapped a really nice project with Quinn Wilson, who's the creative director for Lizzo. She is wonderful. Next week coming up is a music video for LMA. I'm excited because Booed Up and all of this, I love this music. And then end of the week, we start on a commercial for the following week.
Wow. So how long do you think this window is going to last?
If I was going to guess, another month.
Okay.
I honestly think the numbers are going to go back up because it's just, humanity, nowhere around the world do we have this thing conquered yet or even figured out, let alone a strategy that'll beat it back. We're still learning what it is. I think the numbers are going to go up again.
So what will that mean? What would that mean for Hollywood? The next phase?
Just like it does for the rest of life. Go back home, sit still, and get over the idea that we are, all powerful humans who rule the planet. I mean, we're part of it. We might be all powerful in a way, but we don't rule the planet. It can live with or without us. And the holidays are coming. So people are really pushing, trying to get stuff done. And the rules, the safety precautions, the protocols, those are all ideas that we're trying to work out.
So some of the stuff that you worked on this week, was everybody wearing masks? Like what kind of safety precautions?
Yeah, everybody's wearing masks. That's the easy part, honestly. There's lots of different types of testing. There's two different, like in your nose testing, there's blood tests. Some people are like, oh, have you been tested from a previous production? And you say, yes. They say, fine, come on. Well, that's.
And that's good enough.
That's good enough already. That's a little suspect. Yeah.
Okay, but it's good to know that things are picking up. So at least for now. So, but I'm just really curious, what will, if this really does, like, if there is another upsurge and people really have to kind of lock back down a bit more, intensely, what will that mean for storytelling? What will that mean for Hollywood? Like, what do you think is the future of storytelling in the short term?
It is starting to morph. I saw a theater piece that one of my college buddies did recently on Zoom. And I was fascinated with the idea that it was this like legit theater, not televised plays. It was legit theater, and it was really good. Early stages, play reading, very simple, but it was really emotionally good because that's the end of it. We're starting to adapt. People are starting to come out with more original content that is based on all this sort of at-home communication. Formats are changing, really, really interesting format change. Like Vice TV is an example of something that has existed pre-COVID that could continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about what Vice is doing, because I haven't seen stuff lately.
I haven't watched them lately, but a little bit I've tuned in here and there in the last couple of months. It's no different for them because some of the content is packaged and they can choose according to safety precautions.
Okay.
And yet the show doesn't change. As a magazine show, you have more choices. Linear shows are difficult. There's a thing on Netflix. It's a telephone. Basically, it's four couples at home in one flat. They come over, having dinner together. Fantastic drama. Fantastic. It's about their relationships, their histories, the politics, the male-female relationships, how they treat each other in high. It's fantastic, and it's just.
What is this one called?
Table. Yeah.
What did you say it was called? This project?
I can't hear you anymore.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Keep going.
Say one more. I'm saying one more thing. Tell me if you hear me.
Hold on. Let me switch to my other headset.
Mike, let me make sure it's not my microphone. Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes.
No, I was just asking you what you said the project was called with the folks around the table.
The Netflix one? I don't know, but I think about it. I'll look it up. I have it written down somewhere. I'll look it up while we're talking.
We lost you on the IG, so if you can rejoin.
Okay, fine.
Rejoin that. Okay, so you've worked on so many different projects. You've been in Hollywood for 20, 25, 30 years?
Well, I've only been in LA in particular 2004 full time. Working here off and on before that, so total 20. I've been in, prior to that is Atlanta, New York. So I've been in the business since high school, which is
How did that happen?
years.
How did that happen?
I was not such a great student. We moved to Atlanta for 11th grade, and the one person I knew sitting next to me at registration, he was like, "How do you if you get in performing arts, you got a class early." So I'm sitting there going to register in the new city, and I was like, "Get out early, sign me up." Where do I sign up?
I got to pause you for 1 second. I'm either going to tell those of y'all who are watching on Instagram, join us on the YouTube live. If you're not able to, because Christian, we need to re-add you.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay.
I just sent the request.
All right. I'm bringing you back in. Okay. So high school, you had to start early.
Yeah.
In order to be part of theater.
If you could get out, not start early, you could get out of class early.
Oh.
That was my whole thing.
Okay.
The guy said, if you get in performing arts, you got to class early. So I'm like, sign me up, whatever that is.
Why were you not into school? And tell
I
us
don't know.
about your cultural background. You grew up in
No.
St. Thomas?
No. I'm born in Philly, went to St. Thomas. We moved to St. Thomas when I was 8.
Okay.
And great. I absolutely loved it. You know,
You love St. Thomas.
Community, it's family, it's swimming and boats and ocean and Boy Scouts. We go camping on the beach and crabbing at night on Megan's Bay, and it was just wonderful. Small town, you catch a ride anywhere from anybody to go anywhere, any time of day. It was really, really.
Is it still like that?
No, I mean, nothing is the same, no matter where you are, right? No matter what size your city was or your town when you grew up, nothing's, there were no street lights. There were no street lights. And so that was such a great life. When we moved to Atlanta, I was like, it was clear to me that enjoyment and community was supposed to be a part of your life. Right.
Okay.
And so I don't know why school didn't fit. I can't really say, but I wasn't terrible, just not so great. And then I got into performing arts in the theater. I got on the lighting crew because I didn't do anything else. I didn't sing, dance, act, play an instrument. So, and I just loved it. And then actually I went on I loved it so much. I was like, this is what I want to do, in college, because I didn't have a better idea. Went to Howard for theater. And then taught for a little while in DC at Ellington High School. Loved that. That was fantastic. Still collaborating with some of those students who were then my students. Now they're, professionals. And then went to New York, went to NYU for grad school. Thought I was going to be in the theater doing lighting. Did that for a while, but found out the money wasn't really working. So I added film and TV stuff.
Okay.
I never gave up the theater. And worked for Spike Lee for like 10 years. It was my first job in the film business, which I'm just...
Tell us how you got that job. Finish your sentence and tell us how you got that job.
I'm learning. So I was in the theater working all the time, but not making enough money. And I said to a friend of mine, Charles McClanahan, hey, I want to work on that music video you're doing because I want to meet the Spikes guys, the lighting guys, so I can eat, literally, like feed my family. But then I was married. My son was born, I think. It was about to be born. And I did it. I PA'd the first day in art department so that I could go meet the lighting guys, walked over, introduced myself. On day 2, I met the lighting guys. I met the lighting guys on day 1. On day 2, I worked for them. And literally the next 10 years, I worked for him on almost everything. I can't say everything because he's so prolific. And
did you work on Malcolm X? That's my favorite.
I worked on Malcolm X.
Oh,
yes.
Well, talk about that. Tell me about that experience.
Well, I was on the rigging crew on Malcolm X. I wasn't on the shoot crew. So we would like go beforehand and carry a bunch of heavy cable and lights and set up stuff and deal with and then after they leave, we'd come back. I do remember being out there overlapping with the shoot crew on the train, when they're catching the train in New York, 125th Street.
Wow.
Before that, I had worked on all this stuff. Depending on which year it was and my family obligations, you play different roles on the thing. So I wasn't on the shoot crew on Malcolm X, but I was happy to look back and say I was a part of it.
No, that's amazing because I imagine the shooting schedule would have been crazy. Like y'all would have been working like wild hours.
Absolutely.
So can you explain to the people what lighting design is? Because not everybody gets, the importance of lighting design.
Right.
When every time you get on a call with Christian, he's like, "Can you fix your lighting, please?" He's like, "I can't." I'm sure the Instagram doesn't look that great to you right now because the lighting is just whatever.
No, you've worked out yours.
People.
No. We interview the interviewer. You've worked out yours. You've got your nice clean background. You've got a nice light on your face. You've got color, shape of your hair, and all of that composition and lighting, right?
Ooh, thank you.
Don't act like you don't know. So I'm the lighting person, depending on which part of the industry. I'm the lighting designer, the gaffer, the chief lighting technician. But basically, I'm the one who's most responsible for the execution of the lighting. So in the theater, I do light plots and design this idea, and then the crew I work with puts it up, and we write cues on in film.
Wow.
It's the same idea. I work with the cinematographer and others involved with creative and what their ideas are, and I add mine. At this point, I mostly have a lot of leeway. We talk, and then I do all the specific choices, and I add my 2 cents depending on the DP's, director of photography's input. It's a little bit of collaboration or a lot. At this phase in my career, it's always a lot of collaboration because DPs like to hand off. They'll have an idea of how.
And for those who don't know, DP is a director of photography.
Yes, a cameraman. Which in television, I work as a director of photography on some things, on multi-camera, like award shows, music events that are shot live in the theater with multi-camera. But basically, I think about the lighting. I work with my collaborators, and then I specify the actual equipment. We look at locations. I specify equipment, hire crew, work with producers on budgets, on how we can execute it, on schedules, and So one of the things, the most important thing about lighting is, to me, I dare say, and to anybody else who agrees with me or who don't agree with me, it's still a fact. Lighting is the most important visual thing, period, because everything comes through that. You can't. The only reason you can see me is you never actually see me. You see the light that bounces off of me onto your eyes. So there's no other thing without lighting in terms of visuals. And it's the emotional. To me, it's the emotional lens of whatever we're looking at.
Okay.
You might look at my shirt and it says something, or the room and it says something. But the lighting is what tells you if it's happy or sad or intense or concerned or, right? Because your face is your face, right? And your expression, that's all your physical self. But it's the lighting, in terms of visuals, it's the lighting that tells us so much of the temperament.
How to feel.
It's like music in that way.
We're looking at.
That's right. That's right. It's like music in that way.
So one of the big topics with, obviously, about Noir Fest and how obsessed I am with gorgeous Black films.
Yes.
And for me, when we talk about, visually stunning cinematography, there's been an interesting dialogue recently about just lighting Black people, Black skin. And I remember Teju Cole came and gave a talk at Yale while I was there. And he talked about how the original, cameras were originally designed, the cameras that we use now, originally designed by white folks for white folk.
Yes.
It wasn't really, designed as a tool to capture melanin.
Yes.
So I'm just curious what you've seen in terms of even technology and practice and the way that people approach lighting Black skin these days.
Yes. Well, so it has changed a lot for the better.
Okay.
Nowadays, you can really have a reasonably easy time lighting Black folks because the equipment is so much more varied. Basically, the technology is, ones and zeros and interpretations and algorithms of what skin colors are natural, what light levels are normal. Well, normal is up for interpretation.
Okay.
And so the digital photography, going back, film had its own perspective about what colors the manufacturers needed to work on to reproduce. There's 100 million colors. So you're not going to work on all of them. You're going to focus on the ones that are important to the human eye. So if your eye is focused on white skin as a normal, because those are the companies that are manufacturing it, and those are the people who are in front of those, and those are the power structures that manage it, then that's what you do. It makes sense in that regard. But now, people are much more connected to each other in terms of cultures and travel. And the internet, of course, has sped up everyone's exposure. Youth culture is always a step ahead. So while that was created by a certain culture, their children and their grandchildren now hang out across many cultures. You'll talk to somebody who's 16 or 20, and they're like, we don't even know what you're talking about when you talk about those people or these people. A lot of young people are so much more exposed, and the technology has followed suit, where the range is better, the contrast is better. But most importantly, people talk about that kind of stuff all the time. And my answer, they say, "Oh, how do you like Black people with white people in the same frame?" Oh, this is how you like Black people. My main answer is, the way you do it is you love them.
Come on, we're going to church today.
I'm saying, like, if
Yes,
it's like anything else,
look
right?
good to you. How do people capture? How do you capture stories and put stuff out in the world? And the person does the skin don't look good.
Right. When you fix a plate of food, if the first thing when I hand it to you is, does it look good? Right? If I care about you, I want it to look good when I put it in front of you. If I think that you in front of the camera are of value, then I want you to look good. Then I do the work to make that so. Whether that's me then putting the lights here, lights there, or doing this, that, or me going back and learning techniques to make the thing work. Right?
I have a question from Baye. So let me just shout out everybody because there's a question about what you just said. Hi, Baye. Hi, Uzo. I see Busayo joined us. Hi, Busayo, Lola Bunny, Jack. So many names I can't even pronounce. It looks like Shauna joined us. Thank you guys for watching.
How do I see these names? Where are these people?
These people are on Instagram, and then you have Ishmael. Okay. We have Ishmael on Facebook. Thank you for watching, Ishmael. And he has a question as well. I'm going to get to Nigeria very soon, so hang tight, Ishmael.
My people.
Yeah, but like, well, so Baye asked if you said love, or he said love them. He said love them. Right? You gotta love the people that you're whose stories or whose image you're using to tell a story.
Yes. That is once you love them, then that obligates you to take care of them, just like you do your family members or your friends. It's no answer. You don't know tomorrow what you're going to do in terms of taking care of your people.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, when one of them needs you, you love them, you show up and you be helpful.
What was the greatest, like the most challenging project you've worked on in your career?
I think the most challenging in a good way, and also the most impactful, is Belly, which is Hype Williams.
Oh my God. Those images, I just keep seeing, I think it was Tamar. Oh my God, Tamar's skin. And that scene, I think it was her in the bed. That's the scene that comes up for me every time I think of Belly. I loved that movie.
Yeah. The cameraman on that, Malik Saeed, director of photography, the most genius lighting person I know in terms of cameras, period.
Wow.
Yeah, just genius. Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Yes.
So Belly, why was it the most challenging?
Because Hype Williams has imagination that won't quit, and he has the work habit to back it up. And he and Malik Saeed, the DP, are the same in that way. Genius people who are willing to do the work at all costs. And so we had many years. We probably had a good 8-10 years of working together in a real tight triangle.
Wow.
Yeah, just amazing.
How long did it take to get Belly done?
7 weeks, I think. And it was his first feature, which has a whole different set of demands in short-term music videos. So he rises to meet demand, but the studio underestimated their ability to have him conform to their existing structures.
So it was a pretty rigorous project.
It was he chased out a few producers. They had to get more older, more experienced. They gave him the rookie producers.
Yes.
They gave him the rookie producers.
Ooh, okay. I'm sorry. I have to go into this because it's just a question, kind of a sidebar. I was talking to Evan Park. You'll eventually meet him. I told you about him. Okay. He's an actor as well. About this, and I talk about it all the time, like how shows, we see a project starts off, you've done some television work, you see a project start off really dope, and then it sort of falls off, especially in terms of writing. Yes. And so, it's Black shows, like 99% of the best Black shows. And so what you said about giving people rookie producers just really made me wonder about your knowledge as far as how Black, storytellers are treated as far as the resources that studios give them.
Well, we kind of know the answer. I mean, we kind of know the answer.
We know the answer. I want to know your experience.
Yeah. Okay, how about this? My take on the subject is, on a certain level, it makes sense. If you just look at we're talking mostly Hollywood in these conversations, because Hollywood is managed historically to be the most influential and to set the pace across the world, right? Yeah. So it makes sense that African Americans don't get as much resources, that Africans on the continent don't get as much resources. In the system that exists, we're not spending as much money on tickets. Is that because we don't have it, because we choose to spend differently? However you want to take it, we don't. So if I'm a Hollywood producer and there's 100 people that buy tickets, I'm going to spend most of my money where that 80% who give me most of my money are, right? Which is typically white, European, a little bit of Asian now, a lot of Asian now. It makes sense that that's where it gets financed. But that is literally the reason I started Lights, Camera, Diaspora.
Right on time.
Yeah.
Time to talk about Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. So why did you start Lights, Camera, Diaspora? Tell us about the origin of that. And if you haven't read Christian's bio, or you've seen our site, or if you joined late, he's the founder of Lights, Camera, Diaspora, through which he provides production training, skills training to talent on the continent and in the diaspora. So yes, why did you start Lights, Camera, Diaspora?
Because it only makes sense. So, people talk about Oscar so white. I'm like, cool, it makes sense. Oscar's white. Why are you asking Oscar to invite people who aren't spending as much to get as much? It's unnatural. It's it's ideal.
I totally agree with your point about, because that's what I always say to Black folk. Like, white folks are not going to come save us. They're going to give us an inch and take a mile, and give us an inch and take a mile. Yeah. But we're not supposed to ask for permission. But at the end of the day, Black people do spend, I don't know how much. We had 25 million Black folks go to the movies. The last stat that I saw was from 2019, right? Okay. And so we do spend a lot of money, but yes, maybe not 80%, not the percentage that would make these organizations make us a priority.
And if we're not the financial priority, then why would they give us the money? They should.
So what about black funders in Hollywood? Who's Black in Hollywood that's trying to put money? We've seen Tyler Perry. He's the newest billionaire in the country, right?
I'm doing this on purpose.
So the tea, are we going to get some tea?
No.
As we go in?
No. Okay, hold on. So the main issue is, to me, in this phase of my life, it's clear to me. Yes, people should treat each other fairly and with respect and with concern, right? But these are also businesses. If I come to your house, you're not going to give me the same amount of stuff that you give your family for the rest of your life, right? So Lights, Camera, Diaspora is a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that I started about 7 years ago to share skills between Hollywood and sub-Saharan Africa. So there's all these resources, all this understanding, all these skill sets of any variety, and Africa is trying to grow its industry, right? So the main idea in that regard is why Africans on the planet should have cohesive economic systems.
Ooh,
right? That's when we are secure and safe. We're talking police violence, etc. Right? That's when we're safe, right? And economically, that's where I like Black folks, right? I like white folks and Asians and Indians too, but I like Black folks, right? I can relate. We can relate when we see each other walking down the street, right? When we eat food, when we play music, we can relate. It's normal. Every town has a Chinatown. Nobody gets upset, right? So if we create these systems that are self-sufficient, then we don't need to ask Oscar to contribute as much, right?
He's writing my whole pitch for me. I'm just going to say this verbatim tomorrow.
No problem. Then we don't need them, right? This is Tyler Perry's conversation. It's not that you love him. Bob Johnson with BET, same thing. He's like, they don't love me. They respect the money, right? And so that's how people should operate. Imagine being, I live here, I work here, you come over and you're like, give me the same. I'm like, who are you? What?
Why should I?
I should treat you kindly. I shouldn't shoot you.
Why should I share with you what I would share with my family at the same time?
Sharing as a community is good, but why at the same level? I'm taking care of the people in my house first, right? So it only makes sense. And then culturally, it's also an interesting issue psychologically for the Black community. We all know we are, I dare say, the most influential in terms of culture around the planet, right? Absolutely. But we don't own these structures. Our mentality is such that we don't think of ownership first, right? And until we back up and are willing to work at, quote unquote, a lower level right? Instead of taking that, $100 to go to Beverly Hills and go shopping, we need to organize to where we make $20 and $25 and build our own banks. Yeah. And then next month or next year, we go to Beverly Hills when we have the $100 of our own. Or we go to VI in Lagos.
Hey, I was gonna say when you said Black folk, the mentality is not to own. I was like, Nigerians want to own everything, but
they do. And I have this theory that part of that reason is in part because Nigeria is such a large population. They don't need other people. With 200 million, with 200 million people, you can develop your own mentality, right? So small countries in Europe generally have a mentality that is inclusive of the region, right? America, as one big country and somewhat isolated with two big oceans, and has its own mentality now, right? Because populations and communities are essentially a closed loop when you're very large. You don't have to think about your neighbors very much. Nigeria is more like America that way. It's so big, you ain't really got to think about your neighbors, right? So you can pat yourself on the back. You can love yourself. You can see all different sides of yourself, right?
Okay. I could work with that. I feel like there's small countries like Botswana that are kicking ass. Like they don't need nobody's money or nobody's permission to do anything because they're organized.
And we need to further that mission. Side note, Mpo Sabino, one of my favorite current singers, is from Botswana.
Oh, okay. I will look. He, her, they, them, she. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Oluwase, hi love. He's watching. Do you know Oluwase Olusa? He's a photographer. We had him on a past episode. Probably something. But he said he worked with you on Belly. So shout out to him for watching. Yes, he was an intern on Belly.
Wait, who?
Oluwase. You might pronounce it Oluwase. That's how the Americans. Oluwase. I called him Shay. Yeah.
Wow.
Oluwase. Yeah.
If he was the electrics intern on Belly, I'd definitely work with him.
Yeah,
that's great. We should make sure we reconnect, sir.
Okay, we'll pull him backstage. Maybe we pull him backstage afterwards.
Yeah.
So when you started last time at Diaspora, you said you went to Nigeria to work on a show with Beyonce. Tell us about that and that experience and how that opened your eyes to the need for, production skills on the continent, and just talk about some of the work you've done since then.
So, I was just in LA working in the industry and traveling, internationally as well, through jobs here and there. And the client said, "Hey, do you want to go to Nigeria? We got this show." I said, "Of course, yeah," because I like traveling and Africa had always been of interest.
This was your first time on the continent?
Yeah, 2004. Nice. And I said, "Yeah, let's go." We'll get back to that. So I went and I was like, I got there and I realized from growing up in St. Thomas that, these are the same people. I look at the plate of food, I listen to the music, I listen to the pigeon. Half the pigeon I understood because St. all the Caribbean is African culture, specifically West African culture, right? And so when you get there, I was like, I know these people. Most Americans can't go to Lagos and just be comfortable from the beginning.
Simulate.
It's a shock on a lot of levels, and I understand that if you grew up, in the suburbs in LA or in Oklahoma or wherever. And we did that for like 3 years, lots of trips, 3-4 times a year for 3 years for that same client, doing big US acts. And so 2010 or 11 or 12, I went back with Andrew Dosimo, Nigerian director.
I want to get you back. I want to get you back on Instagram because I want.
Why does it keep going?
I don't know.
Hold on. Okay, we'll sign back in. We'll do that. So I went back with Andrew Dosimo.
Hi, Andrew, if you're watching. He's a friend of mine as well.
Ah, nice. He's
George. Yeah.
Okay, I did the request. All and right. So then I went back and with Andrew started doing other things. But by then, people took me seriously that I was actually interested in being there. A lot of people come for one trip or don't come back for 5-10 years. Even Nigerians in the US who most don't go very often.
Okay.
And so young guys, technicians mostly say, "Hey, can you help me? Can you help me do this?" And one day I was in the US telling some guys here on the show what I was doing over there. I started telling one guy, And then I realized by the end of that little story, about 7 had stood around and were like, what are you doing? It was like, literally, I thought about like old slaves around the campfire talking about freedom. I was like, this is a movie. Like they had all kind of huddled around and like, wow. And then one day I was working on something. We were doing a pitch with Akon, one of his people, and him, one of his people. And I realized that moment, oh, people on my left are asking, people on my right are asking, I can do that. And I literally just said, okay, that's what I'm doing. And no idea what it meant after that. And then I started Lights, Camera, Diaspora. So I continue to work doing lighting in terms of my industry and professional career, but they work hand in hand. So I worked on Queen Sono on Netflix, first Netflix project. Yeah, Queen Sono, Pearl Tusi is on fire on that show. I just did a Netflix production in Lagos with Akino Motoso. We had done another film, Ghost in the House of Truth. I've done South Africa a lot in terms of workshops and training, separate from Queen Sono, in KZN and Film Commission sponsored stuff. I'm working with NFVF trying to pull something off, doing a bunch of different stuff. And then all around the continent at this point. Zambia, working with Multi-Choice Talent Factory last year, in Joburg, Zambia, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria. I've done stuff in Senegal with Sally Rabi Kane, a fashion designer who also does a little bit of film as well and artwork.
You have to introduce me.
I will absolutely introduce you all. And she is a Black genius.
Ooh.
She is the deal.
Okay.
Blitz Bazawu.
Yes, you worked with Blitz on Black is King.
On Black is King, yes.
So you guys were in LA entirely for your project, for your work on Black is King, or did you spend some time in South Africa? Because you got some South African youth to work on the project.
Yeah. So Blitz hired me. We had met through Selly in 2016 in Senegal. And Blitz hired me to work on Black is King in South Africa, in Joburg and KwaZulu-Natal province outside of Durban. Because honestly, there aren't a lot of people like me, been in the union 30 some years in between New York and LA, and a lot of nice projects, and intimately involved on the continent, on the ground, getting your hands dirty with the crew and the equipment and the vendors and all of that. So that was good. I had a moment where I was able to talk to Akin and get some interns on the show who I had met through a different U.S. presentation the South African government had done. So I brought 10 people from Mpumalanga province, just outside of Joburg, onto the show. So if you can imagine how much production is there, hour and a half outside of Joburg? Not much, right? And I had met them the month before when I was in Joburg. And I was like, Akin, let's get some more help. And he's like, yeah, we got some help. So they came. To go from there in Mpumalanga province, right? Literally one room, a classroom, and then a small studio with not much equipment, and they're trying, and to go from there to a Beyonce project, and not just one music video, like a statement piece that helps to shift the culture and the dialogue.
Did they know what the project was?
No. Beyonce is the queen of non-disclosures.
Ironclad.
Wow, she got that bad. She got everybody scared.
Oh Lord!
So I worked on Black is King. We did New York.
And you were in it.
Well, we did LA, not New York.
One of the pictures that we put in our stories, if y'all have been paying attention, the car, it was you driving the youth to his future. I always remember how you said that. Yeah.
Yes, the little spotted Rolls Royce driving down the dusty road. The boy is in the back. I'm in a grass skirt, suspenders with diamonds, no shirt. So cover your eyes.
Who was the costume designer on this?
It was designed for someone else. They just didn't. They happened to not have the dancers there by some, whatever. And so they needed somebody. And don't laugh, but I was the closest to a young.
Do you have a picture of you in the outfit? That sounds like a dope outfit.
Disney Plus.
What was that?
On Disney Plus, I have it.
Well, okay.
No, I don't have.
I want to see like the full body shot.
Remember Beyonce.
Yeah, ironclad. No pictures. That makes sense.
Right. That makes sense. And but yeah, so I've got the doggone mask on, and as I was telling you before, I didn't realize till after how that message is of the privilege for me personally of playing that part. This is all in hindsight. I've got this young boy who is a prince of, I don't know how to phrase that in the particular context, but if Simba's the king of the jungle, then, so the boy, FJ, fantastic actor, is in the back of the car, and I'm literally chauffeuring him forward in his life, jump cut to Jay-Z in this big mansion. So it's like I am, as the Dogon elder, ancestor, delivering this young boy to his future. I really didn't get it at the moment. I was just excited to be,
significant role.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Yeah. And we worked on LA stuff too. A couple of things in LA, 3 or 4 different things in LA.
That's, I'm just thinking about how you'll kind of be able to look back on that role for a long time and tell your grandkids about. You've had a lot of incredible projects. You've worked with Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, just I don't know who you haven't worked with. That list is probably shorter, right? But what is your secret sauce? What is the secret to your success? You're talking about the Dogon mask, and it just made me think about, our ancestors and how they bring us forward. Right. What is your secret sauce?
I don't know. But one thing is,
how do you keep the jobs coming? Because you just stay hired.
I realized at some point I outlived a lot of people in my industry. Literally. I mean, not like physically lived per se, but just like I didn't stop. It's cliche but true. The people who win never quit, right? Right. When you look up and you realize that I'm 41 years in the business, I know a lot of people. My name has been on people's mouths for a long, long time, right? I've always maintained a level of arrogance, some would call. It used to all be arrogance when I was younger, but hopefully now it's more confidence.
It's mellowed, okay.
And people want that. They want some level of what you're doing and you're willing to be in charge, right? Why would I hand you my expensive, important thing to take care of when you're shy and timid if you're not confident? So you can't, there's a limit to that, which I had to learn. but that's one thing. And then also, my mother was always very creative. And so growing up, she was into fashion. She sewed. She took us out to shows. She was always reading. So we read a lot when we were younger. She always traveled. We were taught like 15 minutes. You hit the door, you got 15 minutes to get dressed, get a shower, get dressed, turn back around and on to the next thing. If 2 different things overlapped and you were like, yeah, I can go on the short note. So my whole life has been geared towards go experience the thing, right? Go experience the thing. And so I've always said yes to that. And that's also one of the things, say yes. So if I come to you and I say, hey, I want to do a podcast with you, and you are interested on some level, say yes. Don't look at your calendar. Don't worry about the time. When some opportunity or some idea in your life shows up, my goal, my thing now is to say yes and figure out the speed bumps later on. Because everything, you get a job you hate or difficult, everything comes with difficulties. So I'm just like, say yes. At least then your difficulties will be in the arena you want to be in. And that has worked very well. You
probably need that energy working on the continent. How was it for you? How's it been for you working on the continent and moving around all these different countries? Culturally, how were you received? And even like the technical,
So the technical thing needs a lot of development to catch up. I'm honestly concerned about how it's going to catch up because technology gives you what they call it, it multiplies exponentially. Right. And a lot of the continent doesn't have as much access to technology. Right. So that means that people with technology could potentially move further and further and further and further ahead. Right. And so that concerns me. Moving around has been great but growing up in St. Thomas, I don't feel uncomfortable
anywhere on the continent.
Right. I mean, nowhere that I've been. I haven't been in North Africa at all. Okay. But in sub-Saharan, I've covered east, west, north, south, in 7 or 8 countries. rich people, poor people. I stay in neighborhoods, and I've shot films in the bush for a couple of weeks, and I never feel uncomfortable.
So have you been taken for a local or hailed as, an American?
Both.
Okay.
A lot of what I get is they think that I might have been born in Africa and raised at some point in America.
Wow.
Or American family, Nigerian family, and I was born in America and have come back home,
Wow.
And my best day is when somebody says, "Oh, I thought you were Nigerian." That's like my best day.
And you said you haven't done your DNA tracing yet.
I have not, because when I first got, Nigeria has its own sort of tribal issues, and I was like, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I was like, let's go slow, learn the lay of the land first. But now I'm cool with it. But now I'm concerned because DNA and world powers and all those.
There's no privacy. There's no privacy anymore.
You see, Blackstone Group, the world's largest real estate owner, just bought, I believe it's Ancestry.com. Wow.
That's scary. That is scary. What does that mean? Explain for those who might not quite catch.
I don't catch it. I just
don't catch it.
I just know I'm scared of it. I just know I'm scared of it.
I guess I feel lucky that I don't need to do my DNA tracing, because I feel like it's important for people to know.
It is.
But there probably are other ways as well for us to get that information.
Well, I've decided I am a honorary anointed Nigerian.
Yes, you said that, and I'm sure we will happily accept you on behalf of all of Nigerians. I christen you an official Nigerian genius.
Thank you. But I got close cousins in South Africa. I got.
You got close. I would take you for South African, but we'll take you on Nigeria's side. So you've worked on so many projects, and you have I think you have similar taste to film that I do. What is a favorite visual project, just in terms of the output? I know there's got to be tons, but is there one that just like your heart every time you see it?
Well, actually, yes. Andrew Dosimo, Mother of George.
Oh, wow. Because I was going to ask you what project y'all were working on in Nigeria, but Mother of George was shot in New York.
New York. Yeah, no, I worked on a TV show in Nigeria with him.
Okay.
But Bradford, the DP, and Andrew are absolute magic together. Either one individually, and together they are magic.
Wow. Do they have anything else they're going to work on together?
Who knows? I don't know. They're both superstars in their own right.
For anybody who has not seen Mother of George, if you check out the Q list that we posted on NorPress, I think a couple of weeks ago, I listed some of the films that I've shown in the past, and Mother of George was on one of them. So I had an event at NYU in 2014, and we showed Mother of George along with some other films. Oluwaseyi I say he loved Mother of George visually, like that. I don't even know, like it's just a visual orgasm. Like there's nothing. Even really a lot of us were upset about the script and how it wasn't a lot of dialogue, but it's like the visuals make up for that 1,000 times.
Yeah, there's a shot in there early on, right after the wedding. Denai is leaning against this gold-colored wall, I think, and it's just this blue light on her face, and the camera just stays there. And it just stays there, and it just stays there. I turned to my girlfriend, and I was like, "You have to love Black people to shoot that. You have to." Like there was a time 20, 30 years ago, I used to notice in commercials, you never see a Black man's face for more than a half of a second in the edit.
Wow.
But now we're featured. Society has changed in the Western perception. But
it's also having more Black people behind the scenes.
Totally.
Right. So that's why what you're doing at Lights Camera Diaspora is so important. And you've done a lot of stuff recently. So I saw something on your website about, projects that you've got people on for HBO. How does that work? Yes. How can people kind of connect with Lights Camera Diaspora and access some of the programs that you guys offer?
So the generic way is the website. There's a contact form, right? And on the website, there's an email and my number, et cetera. And, but really it's, aside from contacting us, it's staying in touch. I see like somebody on here asking, are there possibilities for internships, right? From Q2, I think is asking.
Oh, nice.
We are not structured like that. I want interns, but we're like, there's three of us, me, Lorna Johnson, and Mona Lisa Wakike. And we don't have office structure, not yet. We don't have, $1 million funding, and not yet. And so, these things.
I'll have it soon.
Exactly. That's why I said not yet, right? But we don't have those structures like that. What we have is the commitment to figure it out along the way. So if that person or whoever else hits me up, hits up Mona Lisa, and does so, this is what I did when I was young. One of my ways, like you're talking about, how do you remain like relevant in the business? One of my ways is staying in touch with people. It's so basic. I'm talking to a lot of young people, and for that matter, more mature professionals who I want to work with you. You have to just stay in touch, because today there's not an opportunity, but next week, next month, I'm thinking of the most recent person in my brain to solve that, staffing thing. That's and real. So if you've been in touch once a month, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not bothering you. I'm just letting you know. I'll flick by the email. I'll flick by the text or the whatever. But then in a week or a year or 3-4 years, I'm now working. This last job was with a producer I worked with, I think 20 years ago. But somebody in between had brought me up to her. She's like, of course, we love working with each other. Love working with each other. But we just hadn't thought of each other for years.
It's been a while.
Because we hadn't been in touch. Literally, that is it. Just stay in touch.
So you, with all this work and jumping around, the planet frequently, how do you take care of yourself? What are your self-care sort of rules?
I spent many years with no time zone, no body clock, like tuned to any time zone, because of all the flights and the travel, and that was great. Now I'm trying to cut back on that. Now when I travel, I try to arrange for a day off after I land. Now I'm more willing to go to sleep, even though I have a long to-do list. Because part of my thing is like, okay, I could stay up another 2 hours and get more done on that to-do list. But what quality of life do I want, and how important is it? I don't want to be the number one anything. Because that number one person, in my mind, is crazy. Right? Their lifestyle, their schedule, I like some downtime. Okay. So I want to be great at what I do, but I'm happy to also give in a little bit at this phase. Right? One of my main things, of course, is music makes everything feel better. Everything. When I go to work in the morning, if I play Stevie Wonder, Love's in Need, when I walk in the door, there's good energy flowing through me, and then eating, I've been mostly vegetarian and vegan over 30 years. I think that's a huge thing. Never one solid 100% commitment, but in general, I decided 30 years ago, oh yeah, I'm going to be vegetarian. Not even really knowing, but I just knew let's stop beef and pork, right? But even then, if I go to some small village somewhere and they ain't got nothing, and mama struggled hard to make a dinner for her foreign guests, I am not going to say no. I'm not going to.
What village is this? I'm
like when I was shooting in the bush, right?
Wow. Wait, where? Talk a little bit more about that with our 5 minutes. And I have one last question for you.
Okay. I was on a film with Song shooting in Uyo in eastern Nigeria. And we would drive out to the bush every day and shoot. We did that for 2 weeks. And so the woman whose house we're using, they make us some food, right? Because that's the thing, right? To make your guests some food. Yeah. That's sharing love. And so I'm not going to insult her that I don't eat beef, right?
Okay.
Culturally, my commitment is to us and community and people first, beyond my exact diet. It's not a religious thing. It's just a habit. So that's what I recommend. Habits, good habits, no exact rule. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So my last question for you
is it already over almost?
I know. It's so.
We got like 10 more things to talk about.
Oh, we're gonna do part 2. People need to stay close. We can hear more from you. Okay. What does Black liberation mean to you, Christian?
Well, so if I reconnect in that Instagram, just because, if freedom of thought, of that's a good. This is. I knew this was one of your questions from the other day, but now you're asking. I'm like, So that's one of the reasons I love Nigeria. They have a sense of confidence and self that doesn't matter who's around or what they have. And that individual, it almost doesn't matter what that individual has. They have a freedom of thinking that the whole world is for me. Right? And that's the thing I'm trying to develop for myself. You know, it's the Toni Morrison and the white gaze conversation, and how she took a long time it took her a long time to learn to write without that little white man in society standing on her shoulder telling her what she should be writing about or shouldn't be thinking. And most things that we come in contact with as we travel around the Western world are teaching us to walk with our head down. That thing over there is not for us, right? Directly or subconsciously, you know, consciously or subconsciously. And so liberation, yes, is economic, but if in that process you're trying to get money in order to be accepted there, then you're not free, right? At the point that you can literally like wake up in the morning, get through your whole day and never have felt, you know, contained or constrained. Yeah, that's a level of liberation that I want to contribute to.
Wow, I want that.
Me too.
I want that. That wasn't part of my definition before, but it is now.
Can you imagine going to sleep and being like, my whole day was what I internally, emotionally thought was important. And only that, right? Yeah.
Wow. You still coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
To the family reunion? Yay!
Yes.
If you want to meet Christian and all the other Black geniuses and the Black geniuses on our team and all just our amazing Noir community, come check us out at the Noir Family Reunion tomorrow, noon EST. We're going to be on for a couple of hours. We're going to show a couple of films. We're going to have a nice, just pour some libation, eat some food, just reconnect and just dream. What does it look like? What would it feel like to wake up and not ever have to think about a white man or what he thinks for your entire day, and then for your entire entire rest of your lives? What does it look like and feel like to build the world that we want? So connect with us. If you don't already follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, subscribe to our page, Noir Press. Join our mailing list, noirpress.org. Click on join us. Stay connected, because we are, we're going to be filtering out some glorious visuals of Blackness in the coming days. And some of y'all got our newsletter this last week, so more goodies coming for you. Oluwaseyi, if you're still on, if you want to join us backstage, I'm going to send you a link. Everybody else, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. We love you. Eat your greens. Eat your vitamins. Get your vitamin D. Get in the sun and love on yourself. Love on each other. We only got us. All right. Deuces.